Every pizza chain wants you to believe they're serving you authenticity, real cheese, real sauce, real dough. But in 2025, after a storm of recalls, falling hygiene scores, and public complaints flooding the internet, the truth looks a lot more synthetic than savory. One chain was flagged with a nationwide cleanliness score barely scraping past 70. Another is accused of using meat blends that contain fillers you'd never accept if you saw them raw. And in a blind test of flavor and freshness, the most advertised brand came dead last. This isn't just about a bad slice anymore, it's about trust. It's about what you're actually swallowing, and how far corporate pizza giants will go to stretch the truth while shrinking your toppings and raising your bill. Some of the names on this list will shock you. A few might even be in your freezer right now. But before you take another bite, watch this until the end. We're exposing 4 chains you should avoid at all costs and revealing 2 that still respect what pizza is supposed to be. Number 1, Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut used to dominate the American landscape. Red roofs, checkerboard tables, that pan crust people would drive 20 minutes for. Fast forward to today and you're looking at a company that's bleeding credibility in plain sight. This isn't just a dip in quality, this is collapse dressed in pepperoni and mozzarella. Out of the major pizza chains in the country, Pizza Hut now ranks the lowest in health inspection scores, averaging a cleanliness grade of just under 75 across multiple states. That's not a rumor, that's documented failure. In Tennessee alone, 7 locations received direct citations for improper food storage rodent activity and expired sauce still used in customer orders. Inspectors called it a pattern, not an accident. And that's the word that should haunt you, pattern. How did it fall this far? The answer is layered deeper than the crust. Franchisees, once the backbone of Pizza Hut's community appeal, are now its weakest link. Many stores are underfunded, understaffed, and overworked. Training has been reduced to bare minimums. Oversight is patchy at best. Corporate pushes limited time offers faster than franchises can implement them. The result, mass confusion. Orders delayed, wrong toppings, soggy boxes, and more importantly, food made in a panic, not in a kitchen. But what cuts deeper than spoiled cheese is the betrayal of trust. Pizza Hut once symbolized celebration. Now for thousands of families, it's a gamble. You walk in hoping for dinner and walk out with a stomachache and a receipt. How many of us have lowered our standards without even realizing it? Accepted smaller portions, colder slices, greasier boxes, and still paid more. That's not just inflation, that's exploitation wearing a name tag. And here's what most people miss. The failure isn't just in the kitchen, it's in the boardroom. While local stores battle moldy dough, the parent company Yum! Brands has continued aggressive cost-cutting initiatives. Real estate downsizing, mass closures, automation at the expense of accountability. The top gets leaner, but the base gets hollow. They're feeding shareholders, not families. Behind every cheesy ad campaign and limited-time box deal is a supply chain that's no longer built to nourish. Cheese blends have shifted from 100% mozzarella to processed variants bulked with cellulose. Sauce recipes have been reformulated to prioritize shelf life over flavor. And dough frozen in bulk and shipped across state lines, pre-treated with preservatives to withstand long storage. What you're getting isn't fresh, it's factory issued. Let's not forget the pricing games. Pizza Hut has been quietly rolling out value deals that sound generous but shrink portions. What used to be a 12-inch pie is now 10.5. Topping counts are capped, unless you pay extra. The cheese layer is thinner, the crust is puffier but hollow. Every aspect of the pizza has been designed to trick your eyes, not satisfy your appetite. And yet the biggest red flag isn't in the kitchen or the crust. It's the silence. No official response to the growing wave of complaints. No press releases addressing multiple failing stores. No commitment to change, only commercials asking you to reignite the craving. As if all it takes to fix a broken chain is nostalgia and melted cheese. But here's the quiet truth that should rattle every consumer. This isn't about pizza anymore, it's about how easily quality dies when corporations stop fearing the public. It's about how quickly something sacred becomes disposable when no one's watching. And it's about how long we've tolerated that transformation without pushing back. If you felt like the pizza doesn't hit the same, that the sauce tastes off, or that your box is lighter than it used to be, you're not imagining things. You're seeing what happens when a giant gets lazy, when they think we won't notice, when they bet that our memories are shorter than our hunger, but we're not looking away. And this is only the beginning. Number 2, Papa John's. If your dinner depends on predictability, skip Papa John's. That's not sarcasm, that's protection. Because what once looked like one of the most consistent pizza chains in the country has now spiraled into a chaotic mess of inconsistent quality, erratic management, and corporate distraction. When a CEO has to go on national television to admit the brand has lost its focus, something is deeply broken, and it's not just the crust. Let's start with the food. Over the past 18 months, Papa John's has rapidly cycled through over 10 new product variations, from stuffed crust gimmicks to questionable limited edition sauces that barely last a season. Their strategy: flood the menu and hope one thing sticks. The result: confused kitchens, overworked staff, and an operations chain that simply can't keep up. Insiders have described the current model as unsustainable. Prep times are inconsistent, training gets rushed, and many stores struggle to manage ingredient inventory with so many rotating products. That's not innovation. That's instability disguised as excitement. And instability in food service always ends the same way: something gets overlooked. Or worse, something gets served that shouldn't. Recent reviews paint a brutal picture. Undercooked dough, lukewarm pies, soggy boxes that leak grease before you even get home. In a string of consumer reports filed across 5 states, customers described food that was either bland, burnt, or barely edible. This isn't a local hiccup. This is systemic erosion. But peel back the greasy cheese and you'll see a bigger problem: the branding illusion. Papa John's has spent the last 2 years desperately trying to repackage itself as more modern, more inclusive, more innovative. But while the billboards change, the back of house doesn't. In fact, several locations still operate with outdated ovens, malfunctioning refrigeration units, and short-staffed crews barely trained to handle peak hour orders. The rebrand is surface level. The problem's embedded. And here's where it turns ugly. While the company pushes trendy ad campaigns, it has quietly closed over 100 locations since 2023. Many were in low-income neighborhoods where stores struggled to meet the ever-growing demands of corporate, while juggling declining foot traffic and rising costs. But the real sting isn't the closures. It's how silently they happen. No community notice, no accountability, just locked doors and a chain that quietly retreats from the places that relied on it the most. This isn't just food failure, this is economic abandonment disguised as brand strategy. Now let's talk numbers. In the last nationwide quality survey conducted in early 2025, Papa John's ranked second to last in customer satisfaction among all major pizza chains. Delivery times are slower. Prices have risen by more than 20% in just over a year. And topping portions down by nearly a third. They're giving you less, charging you more, and hoping you're too busy to notice. Meanwhile, ingredient quality has come under fire too. Several third-party audits flag their pepperoni and sausage blends for excessive use of binders and fillers. Translation: you're not getting what you think you're paying for. The cheese. No longer 100% mozzarella in many regions. Some stores are substituting lower-grade alternatives without disclosure. And yet perhaps the most haunting detail isn't even in the food. It's in the silence between headlines. Because while customers file complaints, local news stations catch failing inspections, and employees leak damning footage online, Papa John's corporate has responded with nothing. No public commitment to fix the kitchens, no transparency about ingredient shifts, just more commercials, louder slogans, and a hope you don't dig deeper. But people are digging, and what they're finding should concern every household in this country. Because when a chain stops listening to its customers, ignores the health of its kitchens, and treats product development like a marketing stunt, it's not just pizza that's at risk, it's your time, your money, and your trust. The signs are right there. You've tasted it, you've felt it. That sense that something's off even if you couldn't put your finger on it. Maybe the sauce was thinner, the crust too soft, the toppings fewer than usual, and now you know why. Papa John's doesn't need another new pizza. It needs accountability. It needs to stop pretending it's still what it was 10 years ago. Because at this point, the only thing consistent about this chain is the decline. And that's one risk no household needs sitting in their fridge tonight. Number 3, Domino's. It starts with speed. That's how Domino's hooks you, 30 minutes or less. Order tracking on your phone, AI-powered ovens, and robot delivery cars. But here's the punchline nobody's laughing at. The faster it gets, the worse it becomes. Domino's has turned pizza into a race. Not for flavor, not for freshness, for delivery metrics. The system is built to move product, not to make food. And that's exactly where the cracks begin to show. Their kitchens operate on autopilot. Employees are trained to meet quotas, not craft meals. Dough is pre-portioned. Sauces are machine dispensed. Cheese is weighed by grams. Every second is timed. The entire process is designed to remove variation, reduce cost, and maximize output. But in that obsession with efficiency, Domino's has gutted what matters most: food integrity. The result: bland crusts, oversauced centers, grease pools where flavor used to live, and toppings that taste like they've been freeze-dried for 3 weeks before landing on your plate. Independent food reviews conducted this spring placed Domino's dead last in freshness and bottom 2 in taste among the top 5 chains. When customers ranked flavor, texture, and balance, Domino's didn't just underperform, it actively disappointed. And if you think that's just your store, think again. This is nationwide. From Arizona to Pennsylvania, customer complaints show the same story: smaller portions, more oil, less consistency. And yet prices have jumped by over 23% since early 2024. So what are you paying for? A pizza you barely recognize and a tech gimmick that tells you when your soggy crust is en route. But let's dig deeper, because this isn't just about soggy dough. Domino's has quietly shifted its supply network to favor global scale over local quality. Ingredients that were once sourced regionally are now processed through centralized hubs that focus on volume, not value. Cheese blends come from overseas plants with different additive regulations. Meat toppings are flash frozen, vacuum packed, and sit in transit for up to 12 days before ever touching a pizza. This isn't food made for people, it's product engineered for shelf life. And the tech, it's not for your benefit, it's for theirs. AI ordering systems monitor which deals get the most clicks. Customer data is analyzed to push higher margin menu items. Even the tracker, yes, that comforting little animation showing your pizza's journey, is more marketing tool than operational asset. In reality, multiple employee reports confirm that stages of that tracker are automated, often out of sync with the actual status. It's not telling you where your food is, it's telling you what they want you to feel. And here's the part no one's saying out loud: Domino's built its empire on the illusion of trust. They sell convenience wrapped in the language of care. But behind the touchscreen and delivery timer is a cold system that rewards speed over sanitation. That's why some locations have been fined for improper food handling. That's why complaints about undercooked chicken and cross-contamination have increased year over year. And that's why so many consumers are quietly stepping away without ever filing a formal complaint. They're not mad, they're tired. Because Domino's has mastered one thing: making bad pizza fast enough that you forget how bad it is. So next time that tracker lights up and your doorbell rings, ask yourself, this are you getting dinner? Or just another timed delivery in a system that stopped caring the moment you clicked place order. Number 4, Little Caesars. $5 used to mean dinner. A whole hot and ready pizza in minutes. That was the Little Caesars promise. But in 2025, the real cost runs far beyond the price tag. Let's start with the facts. What you get today for nearly $7 at most locations barely resembles the pie from 5 years ago. The crust is thinner, the sauce is sweeter, almost metallic. The cheese doesn't melt, it congeals. And the pepperoni shriveled discs of salt with more grease than flavor. In blind taste tests conducted earlier this year, Little Caesars ranked lowest in both texture and ingredient freshness among all national pizza chains. It wasn't even close. This isn't a shift. This is a swap. Real ingredients traded out for synthetic stability, flavor replaced with filler, and affordability weaponized as a disguise. The secret to Little Caesars' low price, volume, and shortcuts. Dough is mass-produced flash frozen and stored for weeks before use. Cheese blends are cut with starches to reduce cost. Tomato sauce is reconstituted from concentrate with added colorants to give the illusion of richness. You're not buying pizza, you're buying processed efficiency disguised as a meal. But the worst part isn't the factory-grade ingredients. It's the way the entire system is built to hide them. Their signature hot and ready model means most pies are pre-made hours in advance, sitting under heat lamps that slowly dehydrate every bite. Many locations no longer cook to order. What you're handed across the counter might have been boxed 45 minutes ago. And you'll only realize that once you bite into crust that feels like cardboard under a microwave. And while corporate proudly markets Little Caesars as a family solution, during tough times their internal cost-saving strategies tell another story. Employees report being pushed to cut corners to meet speed metrics, cleaning routines shortened, reheating methods altered, quality checks skipped. In one viral incident this past June, a location in Ohio was shut down after inspectors discovered rodent droppings inside the dough cooler just feet from the prep station. That store reopened within days. No national statement, no corporate reckoning. Just another quiet restart in a system built to keep moving no matter what. But when you zoom out, the damage stretches further. The aggressive pricing model has triggered a race to the bottom in the pizza industry. Competing chains feel pressure to match Little Caesars' price points, often cutting their own corners just to stay in the game. It's a domino effect, one company's shortcuts becoming everyone's standard. And in the middle of that fallout, the consumer, paying the price in hidden costs, compromised ingredients, questionable hygiene, and meals that numb more than they nourish. After 4 chains that have stretched your patience and shattered your trust, the question isn't where should I eat, it's whether any chain is still worth trusting at all. Because when the industry builds its empire on shortcuts, it becomes harder to tell the difference between a dinner and a decoy. But not all is lost. In the middle of this collapsing maze of artificial cheese and corporate tricks, there are still names that resist, brands that refuse to compromise that bet on quality instead of deception. They're quieter, less flashy, but they're doing something most others won't dare to do in 2025. They're being honest. Let's talk about them, the rare few that are still worth your table. Number 1. Papa Murphy's. In a landscape flooded with processed shortcuts and corporate cutbacks, the idea of trusting any pizza chain feels more like a risk than a reward. And yet, standing almost defiantly against that tide, Papa Murphy's continues to operate by a set of principles that feel borderline rebellious in 2025. No freezers, no microwaves, no slicing corners for profit. At Papa Murphy's, the food isn't rushed, reheated, or hidden behind backroom prep. It's raw, transparent, built in front of you, not behind closed doors. That choice to hand over an uncooked pizza for you to bake might seem inconvenient in a world addicted to speed. But it might also be the only reason this chain has remained shockingly clean in an industry choking on its own efficiency. Because here's the hard truth. When you bake it yourself, you eliminate the most dangerous variable in fast food. Today's centralized, high-volume kitchens cutting corners under pressure. You're not leaving your dinner to underpaid staff racing the clock. You're not trusting outsourced logistics. You're taking control back ingredient by ingredient. And the difference, you taste it. More than 87% of customers in a national blind test said Papa Murphy's pizza tasted fresher than any other chain. Independent audits confirmed it. Locally sourced vegetables, sliced daily dairy cheese with no fillers or anti-caking agents, and dough that's made in-store, not shipped frozen, not loaded with preservatives. This isn't artisan marketing wrapped in plastic. It's real food, made from scratch, in front of your face. But the biggest shock isn't what's in the food. It's what's not in the headlines. No lawsuits over contaminated toppings, no viral photos of moldy dough, no hidden franchise meltdowns or class action recalls. In fact, according to the most recent industry safety index, Papa Murphy's has one of the lowest complaint rates per location in the entire fast casual sector. Not just in pizza, across all chains. That's not luck, that's structural. Unlike the massive players who rely on third-party kitchens and ghost locations, Papa Murphy's still insists on real people running real stores. Almost 92% of locations are run by local franchise owners, many with direct oversight of sourcing, sanitation, and hiring. That kind of proximity builds accountability, not just brand consistency, because when your name is tied to your storefront, shortcuts come with consequences, and it gets deeper. While other brands battle public backlash for inflated delivery pricing, hidden surcharges, and third-party platform dependency, Papa Murphy's quietly sidesteps the chaos. No ghost kitchens, no bait-and-switch fees. What you see in-store is exactly what you pay for. And in 2025, when food inflation is crushing households and restaurants are collapsing into their own marketing gimmicks, that level of clarity is nothing short of radical. So yes, you still have to turn on your oven. But maybe that's the point. Maybe slowing down just enough to bake your own dinner is the smallest act of rebellion you can make in a system that's designed to rush you into bad decisions. Papa Murphy's isn't loud. It doesn't dominate the ad slots during the Super Bowl. It's not trending on TikTok. But maybe that's why it works. In a world that's fallen for speed and forgotten substance, it's the only major chain left asking you to stop, look, and taste again. And that alone should give you pause. Number 2, Blaze Pizza. Blaze Pizza doesn't play by the traditional fast food rules, and that's exactly why it's earned a place on this list. In an industry ruled by frozen cheese blends, synthetic crust extenders, and marketing smokescreens, Blaze has managed to break through using something dangerously rare in 2025 transparency. From the moment you walk in, it's clear Blaze isn't hiding behind closed kitchen doors or prefabricated shortcuts. The dough made fresh every single day using filtered water, unbleached flour, and 0 preservatives. The sauces stirred in small batches without industrial thickeners or added dyes. The meats sourced from trusted suppliers, cooked in-store, not shipped in pre-cooked pouches. And the vegetables real, whole, washed, chopped, and served raw, not flash steamed into mush to survive a cross-country delivery route. But the real shock isn't the ingredient list, it's how fast they're doing it. Blaze combines the visual clarity of a Chipotle-style prep line with the firepower of a blazing hot open-flame oven that hits over 700 degrees. From raw to ready in under 3 minutes. Not by cutting quality, but by designing the system to center freshness. That's not a gimmick. It's an operational rebellion in a market flooded by drive-thrus, pushing reheated pies under warming lamps for hours. And it matters more now than ever. Because pizza, once a humble dish, has quietly become a testing ground for industrial food engineering. Fake cheese loaded with palm oil stabilizers, dough frozen and trucked from centralized factories, sauces laced with gums binders, and shelf extenders to survive cheap storage. The further a pizza is from its source, the more chances something goes wrong. And the more they hide it behind vague language like proprietary blend or special recipe, the more you should worry. But Blaze does the opposite. Allergen info posted clearly in every location. Vegan options labeled and built with strict cross-contamination protocols. Gluten-free crust. Prepared in a separate area, it's not just about accommodating preferences, it's about recognizing how many customers are walking around today with autoimmune issues, allergies, and intolerances that can no longer afford to gamble on vague labeling. In fact, Blaze's commitment to dietary transparency scored them the highest rating from the National Clean Label Project earlier this year. No pizza chain in their tier came close. That's not hype, that's data. Even their beverage lineup reflects a shift away from soda dependency. You'll find cane sugar lemonades, kombucha, and even local craft sparkling waters. Why? Because Blaze isn't just selling pizza, they're selling agency. You walk in, you see everything you choose, everything, and you get exactly what you asked for. No tricks, no substitutions, no shrinkflation sleight of hand. And while most fast food giants are sinking deeper into the mud of ghost kitchens, third-party delivery fees, and AI-generated menu manipulation, Blaze is quietly expanding using real storefronts, real staff, and real ovens. This isn't a billion-dollar hedge fund scheme dressed as a meal. It's a functioning model of how fast food should evolve. Blaze might not be everywhere yet, but that's what makes them dangerous to the status quo. Because once people realize they don't have to sacrifice quality for convenience, the whole system breaks. And maybe that's why Blaze isn't just a pizza joint. Maybe it's the early crack in the wall. The sign that America's fast food fatigue is finally hitting critical mass. And when it does, only the honest brands will survive. The illusion is over. The logos may still shine, the commercials may still sing, but behind the glass, something's broken. When shortcuts become standard, when flavor hides behind chemicals, when prices rise but quality sinks, you're not buying dinner. You're buying into a system that's trained you to expect less and pay more. But not everyone's playing that game. The cracks are showing and you've seen them up close. Now it's your turn to decide where you draw the line. Which brands still earn your plate and which ones have burned that right for good. If this shocked you, it should. But don't just walk away. Share it. Talk about it. Because the more we know, the harder it gets for them to hide. Your pizza, your money, your health. Choose like it matters, because in 2025 it does.
This video does not promote division within the United States or encourage segregation. All content is presented for the purpose of exploration, analysis, and fostering discussion based on current events, public sentiment, and social trends. We fully respect the United States Constitution and all federal regulations. If today's analysis made you think, drop a comment so we can keep the conversations going. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you will never miss our next independent deep dive.